back, everybody. So today I'm doing a therapist review of the Kite Runner. We're going to look at trauma and how trauma affects people and our reactions to trauma as kind of depicted in the book The Kite Runner. This is a historical fiction about a boy growing up in Afghanistan, some of the conflicts and things that were going on at that time in that country. So we follow Amir, he's the main character. It's from his point of view, and I won't say that he's rich, but he does have servants. His best friend is Hassin, who is the son of the servant at his house, and the servants are very dedicated to the family. They let them know, like, hey, we always have to make sure that the home is here for you and that we will keep everything safe for you if you ever leave and have to come back. So there's this contest in Afghanistan. It was a kite flying contest, and I guess it's rather competitive that you fly your kite and you cut the strings of the other people and till yours is the last one flying. And the kite runner is the person who chases the kite. And Amir is obviously flying the kite, and Hassin is his runner. He goes after the kite if his kite gets cut. So Amir and Hassin are kind of like best friends. His father is kind of really like, hey, we need, even though these people are our servants, we treat them with respect. We give them all that we can and make sure that they are taken care of. So they go to this kite contest, and Amir does really well. And then Hassin goes to find his kite, and something really horrible happens. And Amir sees something that happens to Hassin that absolutely devastates him. So when we look at this event, this was a very traumatic event that happened. It was a very shocking, and Amir basically froze. He couldn't help his friend, even though he knew what he was seeing was wrong. He froze. He didn't know what to do, and he didn't even know if Hassin saw that he saw. But basically, he decided he was not going to talk about it. He was not going to say what he saw, and just pretend that it never happened. First of all, these are children, and in traumatic events, children often, even adults, we often do not respond to trauma in a way that I guess would be the most noble. Is this a way that someone would react to a traumatic event like this? Absolutely. Some people have a hard time with the main character because he didn't intervene. He did not stop what was going on. If this were actually true, it's more likely he would not. He doesn't know if stopping this event could put him in danger. Obviously, this caused a fight or flight response for him, and there's actually another part to the fight or flight response, because the other response is that we freeze, and that what we're going through, what we're experiencing, what we're seeing is so traumatic that we don't know what to do. Obviously, you can see this happen in a possum, where they freeze in order to avoid being eaten by a hawk or whatever. And that is kind of an evolutionary benefit for them. They found that is something that saves them. For people, it kind of gets us stuck. That is one of the things that can create more of a traumatic event, is that we feel stuck in the situation. We don't know how to get out of it. And so we just freeze, and our blood pressure drops. All sorts of physiological things happen where we're just trying to, because we don't feel like we can run away, we don't feel like we can fight, and so we're just frozen. So after this event happens, it pretty much ruins the family. Amir cannot handle it. He ends up being mean to Hassin because this event happened to him. He doesn't know how to respond, which is also how people respond to traumatic events. Yes, in some situations, they end up bonded with the person who they've gone through in a traumatic event with, or sometimes they push them away. And we can see this in life all the time. If you look at relationships, and if something happens in the relationship that is traumatic, a lot of times those relationships end. This might be that one person in the relationship goes to prison. It could be that illness or sickness and death of a child is often a precursor. If that happens, a lot of times the relationship ends. It's kind of a real way that we deal with trauma is that we distance ourselves. We start treating that person differently because of what we know about them, even though it wasn't their fault. And that's kind of what happens in this book. So the reactions to trauma, the main character's reactions to trauma, I thought were quite real, and how that reaction affected him his entire life. And at some point he does kind of go out for redemption, and you could argue whether or not he's successful or not, but he does try to make a difference because he knows that he really messed up with this one event. Now, I would say that a lot of times in life, like when we go through traumas, we don't always have that kind of redemption. There are some things that people just have to learn to live with. Often people who are traumatized, they want to confront the person that abused them or hurt them. And I'll say a lot of times, almost always, those confrontations do not go the way that they wanted them to. And it ends up, if they wanted closure, if they wanted redemption, they don't get it from that person in the way that they want. So, and I find that that's really hard because a lot of times they have questions and concerns. And it's like, yes, you deserve an answer. But just because you deserve an answer doesn't mean that you're going to get one, and doesn't mean that you're going to get one that is going to be, you're not necessarily going to get one that leaves you in a better place. And so then they have to deal with that. So in this book, I guess I would argue that he tried to make amends, he tried to make things better, and it didn't quite turn out the way that he wanted. The book was really great. It was heartbreaking. It had some good parts, had some really hard parts, some difficult things to read, and but overall, I thought it was really great. Got out some themes that I could look into, like from therapeutic point of view. I would absolutely suggest that you pick it up. Just be aware there are a lot of trigger warnings in there, and I might suggest that you find out what those are before you pick that up. All right, so that's my therapist reaction to the Kite Runner. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.